There's something in you. It says that you're not sitting back waiting to see what politicians will do for you. There's something in you that says, I'm not going to focus on the general economy. I'm going to focus on my personal economy. There's something in you that says the most dependable hand in the world is the one at the end of your risk. There's something in you that says always strive to get on top in life because it's the bottom that's overcrowded. You are different. You have greatness within you. Dr. Howard Thurman, come forth. Here's a man that after having 238 radiation seed implants, and my PSA continued to increase. In fact, last year this time it was over 1,500, and the little C cancer had eaten 40% of my T1 vertebrae. And I was reading his words that night after leaving Florida Hospital, and doctors had told me that cancer had reappeared, had metastasized in 8 areas of my body. And I began to laugh as the doctor spoke to me, and he was looking real serious. He said, "Why are you laughing?" I said, "I feel like Mother Teresa." He said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Lord, I know you know how much I can bear. I wish you didn't have so much confidence in me." And now my PSA is 0.0. I'm debt-free, cancer-free. Yes, indeed. I stand before you because of God's grace and mercy. And trust me, it's better to be seen than to be viewed. But Dr. Thurman was called upon by Dr. Martin Luther King Sr. He said, "Howard, I want you to mentor my boy, MLK. He was a member of an elite group of orators and mystics and philosophers in his day. He was an advisor to Mahatma Gandhi and to Abbott Schweitzer. He wrote, 'Deep is the hunger, the voice of the genuine, the centering moment.' He wrote some words that I was reading around 3 o'clock in the morning that grabbed me. He said, the ideal situation for a man or woman to die is to have family members praying with them as they cross over. He said, but imagine being on your deathbed and standing around your bed, the ghost of the dreams, the ideas, the abilities, the talents given to you by life, but you, for whatever reason, you never pursued those dreams. You never used those talents. You never used those gifts. You never used those abilities. And there they are standing around your bed looking at you with large angry eyes saying, we came to you, and only you could have given us life. And now we must die with you forever. And the question is, if you died today, what dreams, what ideas, what books, what leadership, what voice, what story will die with you? Miles Monroe, great speaker out of the Bahamas, said the wealthiest place on the planet, it's not in the Far East where there's oil in the ground. It's not in South Africa where there are diamond mines. He said the wealthiest place on the planet is there you'll find potential never realized. There you'll find books never written. There you'll find abilities and skills and talents and gifts the world never had exposure to. Maybe that's why Henry David Thoreau asked in a moment of anguish, what if you live your whole life only to discover that it was wrong? That it was wrong. God had so much more in mind for you. Maybe that's why he said, oh God, to reach the point of death, only to realize that you've never lived. Only to realize that you've never scraped the surface of your potential. Everybody let us say together, live full, die empty. And the people in this room have decided to live full. The people in this room have decided to die empty. The people in this room have decided to live life on their terms and not to be a volunteer victim. When you say yes to this industry, You're saying yes for a bigger life. You're saying yes, I'm tired of playing small. You're saying yes, I'm ready to be empowered to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. You're saying yes to providing for yourself and your family. There's something that's in you that says, I'm not mentally fit to work for somebody for the rest of my life. You're saying yes to your life, yes to your dreams, yes to your unfolding future. Give yourselves a round of applause. Give yourself a round of applause. I didn't do this for years. I would go in the balcony of auditoriums and watch Jim Rohn and Dr. Dennis Waitley and Zig Ziglar. And my heart would beat so fast because I love helping people. How many of you love helping people? Raise your hands. I love helping people. And my heart said, I can do that. But then when I would leave there, and as I was walking to the car, my mental conditioning began to speak. And it would say, Les Brown, you can't do that. You don't have a college education. Les Brown, you can't do that. What makes you think that you have something to say that somebody would listen to you? Les Brown, you can't do that. What makes you think that you can speak for AT&T, Procter & Gamble, McDonald's Corporation, IBM? You've never worked for a major corporation. Les Brown, you can't do that. You were adopted. You don't even know who your parents are. How many of you ever thought about something you wanted to do? You felt it in your heart, and then your mind talked you out of it. Raise your hands, please. I convinced myself that I couldn't do it. I learned something from that experience. Whenever there's an argument between your heart and your mind, follow your heart. There are things that the heart can understand and feel that the mind cannot relate to. Maybe that's why my favorite book says, lean not unto thine own understanding, and all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. There are things that you feel, that you know in your heart of hearts, that's not logical, it's not practical, it's not realistic, but there's something in you that says, I can do this. I can do this. After facing defeats and disappointments and failures again and again and again, there's still something in you that says, I can do this. Operating out of a thinking when life knocks you down, try and land on your back, because when you can look up, you can get up. I can do this. I can do this. When you present and people say, oh yes, I'd like to be a part of that. Yes, they have the personality and they need it, and they don't show up. You end up being a babysitter. You have to be a counselor and a psychologist and a minister. They challenge you to pray to Jesus and Yahweh and Melchizedek and Buddha. They'll get on your last nerve, have you chanting, Nomi Yoho Renge Kyo. It's interesting when you talk to people about securing their future, and you can't help them to become actively engaged in their own life. A friend of mine named Lorraine had me to come to do an intervention with her brother that was addicted to drugs, and he told us to get out of his house. And as we were going down the steps, I said, I'm sorry I failed. I'm so disappointed. And she said something that I'll never forget. I want you to remember. She said, Les, most people won't participate in their own rescue. Wow. Most people won't participate in their own rescue. You have a vehicle that will allow them to create their own job. You have products that people need. You have training and coaching where they'll be in business for themselves, but not by themselves. You have leadership of people who've proven that it's possible you can live your dreams. It's possible you got a shot at creating a fortune. Everybody's not going to do it. We can't predict performance. And all you are saying, hey, listen, here's an opportunity. And don't take it personal when people say no to you. They're not saying no to you. They're saying no to themselves. They're saying no to living a bigger life. They're saying no to what's going on in their head because they're suffering from possibility blindness. They can't see themselves doing more. They don't want to do that extra work. So they're saving you some time. They know they're trifling and don't want to work. Don't try and convince them to say yes. A person convinced against their will is of the same opinion still. This is hard work. H-A-R-D and H-E-A-R-T. Hard work and heart work. You got to gut this out. You've got to know your vitamin. You've got to fail your way to success. You've got to be unstoppable. You have to operate like Willie Jolly, who said a setback is a setup for a comeback. You've got to be relentless when you're building a business. You've got to be able to have courage after you face rejection and again and again and again. After somebody tell you they're going to show up and then they don't come, they don't return your calls. It takes courage. Go out and start talking to people. It takes courage when creditors are breathing down your neck and family members saying, oh, there he goes again with another pyramid scheme. Am I making sense to you? What I'm doing. I didn't do this for 14 years because I didn't have the courage. I was afraid of being rejected because I don't have a college education. I had a tremendous inferiority complex. And something else. In order to make this business successful, to go from a 9 to 5 to 5 until you faint, it's a different mindset. It requires a radical change. How many of you know that it's hard building a thriving residual income on a monthly basis? Raise your hands, please. Yeah, that's why most people won't say yes. It's much easier to complain about the economy. It's much easier to complain about our elected officials. It's much easier to talk about the recession. That's much easier to come up with excuses why you can't do it. That's where I was. That's where I set up station for a long time. My mentor said something to me, Mike Williams. I want you to write this down. He said, anybody can complain. He said, if you do what is easy, that's complaining. If you do what is easy, your life will be hard. But if you do what is hard, your life will be easy. Come on now, that's strong medicine. If you do what is easy, complain about your situation, your circumstances. If you do what is easy, stand around and be a volunteer victim like everybody else. If you do what is easy, surrender and give up on your dreams, become depressed and bitter and angry. Anybody can do that. If you do what is easy, your life will be hard. But if you do what is hard, keep coming back again and again and again. If you do what is hard, approaching strangers, talking to people in shopping malls, get up dressed every day, going out prospecting, knowing some way, somehow, with a spirit of expectation, somebody's out here looking for an opportunity. You can go outside right now and see some pigeons, but you're out hunting for eagles, and they're not common. And if you do that over and over and over again, somebody's going to show up. Somebody's going to say, I'm the one. Dr. Thurman, I love him so much. What a great writer. He said, there's something in each and every one of you that waits and listens to the voice of the genuine in yourself. It will be perhaps the only guide you will ever have. And if you cannot hear it, all of your life, your days will be spent on the ends of strings that somebody else pulls. And I submit to you that you invested the time and money to go to the airport, to fly cross country. I suggest to you, some of you drove here. I suggest to you, you showed up because you said, I'm going to pull my own strings. I'm going to control my own life. Nobody will ever pull my strings again. Give yourselves a round of applause. The next thing that's important to know, yes, it's possible that you can choose your future and direct the course of your life as you run toward your dream. It's necessary that you have goals, that you write those goals down, that you plan, that you think constantly of how you can begin to improve what it is that you're doing. If it's your presentations, if it's your recruiting skills, whatever that is, it's also necessary that you look for ways to always find a way to pull it out when everybody else thinks that you are defeated. That you've got to take personal responsibility to know that in order to become successful, you've got to make it your personal business to do it. But the next thing, ladies and gentlemen, I want to share with you that some of you already know that it's hard. It's not easy. It's hard changing your life. It was hard when just over 3 years ago, in the Penobscot building in Detroit, Michigan, where I was operating my business, and I fell on some hard times, and I was sleeping in my office. It was hard coming into the lobby, and the security said, "Excuse me, Mr. Brown, can we see you for a moment?" And I said, "Yes," and I walked up to the counter, and he gave me an envelope. And he said, "Would you mind reading it here?" And I opened the envelope, and the envelope was from management that said, "This is an office tower. It's not a hotel. Please do not sleep in your office." And I said, "Excuse me, sir." I said, "I just work long hours in creating my business. I'm an entrepreneur. And right now things are bad for me, but they're not going to be this way always. And I just asked for the opportunity to continue to operate like I'm doing. I'm not trying to make this my home." And it was hard coming through the lobby. And sometimes they would laugh. There's a guy talking about becoming successful. And look at him. He's bathing in the bathroom upstairs on the 21st floor. He sleeps on the floor. Him and 2 other dreamers up there. Look at him. It was hard, ladies and gentlemen, coming to speak to people. And I was facing financial difficulties in my own life. I was behind on my bills and my dreams, and I'm saying to them, you can live your dream. It was hard, ladies and gentlemen. It was very difficult to pick myself up each day believing that I could do it. There were times that I doubted myself. I said, "God, why is this happening to me? I'm just trying to take care of my children and my mother. I'm not trying to steal or rob from anybody. Why did this have to happen to me?" It was very hard. And here's what I want to say to you. For those of you that have experienced some hardships, don't give up on your dream. No one could have convinced me by holding on, by continuing to push forward, by continuing to run toward my dream, that one day I would have my own talk show. It's a long shot, ladies and gentlemen, from Liberty City, an abandoned building on a floor, never knowing my mother or father. It's a long shot. Being here with you today in this dome in Atlanta, it's a long shot. No college training, labeled educable, mentally retarded, but I kept running toward my dream. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop running toward your dream. It's very important as you hold on to that dream. There are moments when you're going to doubt yourself. There are rough times that are going to come, but they have not come to stay. They have come to pass. It's very important for you to know that. Don't say I'm having a bad day. Say I'm having a character building day. It's very important for you to believe that you are the one to make this happen. I remember this high school teacher, Mr. Leroy Washington, at the end of school one June, it was just a few days before we were supposed to leave. And I just got my report card. And it indicated that I'd failed history and I'd failed English. And I would have to go to summer school. And I was feeling within myself that I was a failure, that I'm slower than most people in getting paperwork. And I was feeling down on myself and very negative. And Mr. Washington was giving a speech to the graduating seniors, and I was in 11th grade. And even though I wasn't supposed to be in there, I went in there because the speech he was giving, that speech was for me. And as he talked, my heart began to beat fast. Tears began to run by my eyes, and I was in the back just listening to him because he said, and he was a very dramatic man. I still talk to him to this day. He said, as graduating seniors of Booker T. Washington High School, I want you to know that you're blessed and highly favored, and that as you go toward the future, begin to know that you have greatness within you. And if just one of you here begin to envision yourselves as being blessed and highly favored to reach your goals, if just one of you capture the essence of what that means, that you have greatness within you and a responsibility to manifest that greatness, that you can make your parents proud, you can make your school proud, you can touch millions of people's lives, and the world will never be the same again because you came this way. And the students gave him a rousing standing ovation. And as he left the auditorium, I ran down the steps and I caught him in the parking lot. I said, Mr. Washington? He said, yes. I said, do you remember me, sir? He said, no. I said, my name is Leslie Brown. My mother, she works in the cafeteria here. I'm one of the twins, Leslie and Wesley. I said, Mr. Washington, but you know, I got these big dreams. I like talking to people. I love people. I said, I want to work with people, and I got this dream of buying my mama a home. Could I do that, Mr. Washington? He said, it's possible, Mr. Brown. And as he walked away, I called him again. I said, Mr. Washington? He said, what do you want now? I said, I'm the one, sir. I said, I'm the one. You remember me, sir. I'm Miss Mamie Brown's boy. I'm the one. I'm the one. And you must feel that's why you're here, because you are the one. And I remember when PBS first played one of my specials called You Deserve, one Sunday afternoon in Miami, Florida. I had some friends call him to tell him to tune in. And he watched the program. He called me in Detroit, and I answered the phone. I said, hello. He said, may I speak to Les Brown, please? I said, who's calling? He said, you know who this is. I said, oh, Mr. Washington, it's you. He said, you were the one, weren't you? I said, yes, sir. He said, and you were so crazy. I said, I know, but I'm rich now. Ladies and gentlemen, It's not going to be easy. It was hard laying on the floor of the Penobscot building, looking out of the window, daydreaming, saying, Les, can you do this? Can you make this happen? I used to listen to tapes day in and day out about See You at the Top, my great friend Zig and Dennis Waitley and different other motivational speakers and Dr. Norman Vincent Peale and Dexter saying, don't let nobody steal your dream. I used to ask myself, can I do this? And something said within me, you're the one. You're the one. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. While you're here, and before you go back home to your respective cities and communities, write down at least 5 reasons on why you deserve your dream, on why you won't give up, what's going to make you unstoppable, why you must be unreasonable, because logical, practical thinking says you can't do it today. But if you want to produce unreasonable results in your life, like living your dream and taking charge of your destiny, you've got to be an unreasonable person. You've got to be an uncommon person. So write down the reasons of why you're here. My first major goal was to buy my mother a home. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. What will reasons do, Les? Nietzsche said, if you know the why for doing, you can endure almost anyhow. What do you mean by that? If you know why you're doing something, when the hard times come, and they're going to come, when the disappointments and the rejections come, and they're going to come by the truckloads, your reasons will be your rod and staff to comfort you, to pick you up. Once again, I got a saying on one of my tapes, if life knocks you down, try and land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. Let your reasons get you back up. I remember when I bought the home for my mother, and she came out of the car. When I opened the door, I said, Mom, I think I know these people in this house. That was my first major goal. And then I couldn't conceal it anymore. I said, Mom, I got this for you. And as she went from room to room, looking at the house and saying, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord. No one ever could have convinced me that this could have happened to me. And she looked at me, she said, Leslie, and you caused me so much problems as a boy. You were always into stuff. She said, no one could have convinced me that day when I walked in that house and this lady was holding you and your brother. And she said, ma'am, I want you to promise me 2 things. And she said, what is it? She says, 1, promise me that you won't separate them. She said, I want them raised together. I want them to know each other. I got pregnant while my husband was away in the war, and I can't keep them. Promise me that you won't separate them. She said, I promise I won't. I've never had children. I promise I won't separate them. And she said, promise me that you'll never tell them about who I am, because if my husband ever found out, he would kill me. She said, I promise. And she said that she gave them to us, and she kind of cried, and she was walking out the door, and she looked at my adopted mother. She said, remember, don't you separate them. She said, I swear to God, I won't. I won't separate them. I'll keep them together. And she said, as I held y'all in my arms, I never had any children of my own. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew with the help of God, I will do it. And ladies and gentlemen, my mother had a dream of having children and raising us. She didn't know how she was going to do it. You're going to be just like that. And some of you are already there. Well, you don't know how you're going to make this happen, but you just feel within yourself some way, somehow, with the help of God, I'm going to make it happen. Repeat after me, please. No matter how bad it is, or how bad it gets, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. Shake somebody's hand on your right and left and say, you got the right stuff. So yes, it's possible for you to live your dream. It's necessary that you associate with winners, that you work your system, that you are relentless, that you never give up. It's you. You've got to take personal responsibility. You've got to make it your personal business to make it happen. And you've got to resolve within yourself that I can do this, that it's hard, but you've got to say, I'm the one. I'm the one to make this happen. I'm the one to become successful in this business. As you work to help other people to become successful, that feeds your success. But you know it's going to be hard, but find out what will make it worth it for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to make your dream become reality, the people that are running at their dreams know that it's possible that you can live your dream, that it's necessary, that you're relentless, that you have a plan of action, that you are creative. The people that are living their dream are finding winners to attach themselves to. The people that are living their dreams are the people that know that if it's going to happen, it's up to them. And they're resolving within themselves, it's not over until I win. The people that are running after their dream know they're going to have hard times. They keep on running because they're saying within themselves, I'm the one. I'm the one. No matter how bad it is or how bad it gets, I'm going to make it. The people that are running after their dreams are the people that are hungry. Shake somebody's hand on your right and left and say, you got to be hungry. And as you run toward your dream, I want to dedicate this to you that I love very much. I want to thank Dexter and all of you. It's something that I'm known by. It's on our tapes called Choosing Your Future, and it says simply this, that if you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and your sleep for it, if all that you dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, and if you gladly sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, and if you simply go after that thing that you want with all of your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope and confidence, and stern pertinacity, if neither cold poverty, famish or gulf, sickness or pain or body and brain can keep you away from the thing that you want, if dogged and grim you besiege and beset it, with the help of God you'll get it.
Here's something else. As you look at yourself, look at your goals, and look at the things that you want to do, put yourself out there. When I decided that I wanted to speak, I didn't want to just be a speaker. My goal was to be a dominant speaker in my niche. You've decided you want to be a category king or queen. You didn't just want to be one of the players, you wanted to be a player, the player. And that's why you're here. Iron sharpening iron. That's why you're here, learning some stuff that you don't know right now that will allow you to provide a quality of service for your customers and an experience so that when they leave there, they feel better about themselves. You're getting them in alignment with their vision of themselves and their body. They leave there feeling better about themselves, but talking about you because of the experience and because of the relationship. That's very important during this time in the distraction economy. What do you mean by we're so distracted? So much stuff's happening right now. It's, in many situations, you can't even hear yourself think. And here's something else. And I'm going to just, I've got something I want to send you. This is very important. The master key when I'm looking at my life and I'm asking myself, how did I get here? Look for ways in which you can upgrade your communication. Steve Jobs said, your ability to communicate, he said, the storyteller is the most powerful person in the world. I want you to send me just I'm gonna give you something, get the free. It's called 7 Principles of Storytelling. And it's very important because you have to tell the story about your business. You have to tell the story about yourself. And and your ability to tell your story. It's today, in order in this noisy world where we are, you have to be good at telling the story about yourself and about your practice and being in alignment where people are and finding out how you can communicate with them in a way that they can hear you. One of the things about your industry and most industries that a lot of people don't know, it's an ongoing process of educating people with a story that creates the thirst. People say, you can take a horse to the water, but you can't make them drink. No, but if you know how to tell a good story, you can create a thirst where they want to drink. I remember when I ran for state representative and I had been fired from radio, and people who would ordinarily supported me when I was on the microphone, they said, Les, we love you, but man, you lost the microphone, editorializing about all these controversial things. We can't support you, man, and you don't have a chance of winning. You don't have no experience, and you don't have any money to fight the party, all the media supporting your opponent. But they miss one thing. I had a story. And when I was on air as a disc jockey, I used to talk about my mother. And when I went to the radio station, my opponent had over $40,000 because his brother was the head of the treasury for the AFL-CIO. And he had the money and the influence to get more contributors to his campaign than me. I'm a novice. This is my first time in the game. I remember a friend who was trying to talk me into running for office. I said, man, I can't do that. I don't know anything about politics. And Perkins said, neither do the people who run. So he went and got some petitions signed and said, man, you should run. People love you. And here I am on Friday before the election. It was a Tuesday. The election will be on Tuesday. And I came to the station. I had around $640. He said, what you gonna do with that? I said, I'm not sure. And then I got still and I thought, I said, can I go in the control room? And I used to do commercials. He said, yeah. I called my mother because I used to talk about my mama all the time when I was on radio. And I said, Mama, I need you to say something for me. I'm running for state representative. She said, Leslie, what kind of mess you in now? I heard because you're a big mouth, they fired you. I said, Mama, I just need you to say something for me. I ain't got time for this mess, boy. I said, Mama, I'll send you $500. I did Western Union. She said, okay, you better send me my damn money. I said, okay, Mama, I'm gonna record you, but you don't have to talk long. And I played a song by Aretha Franklin called Holy, 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 Come Together People. And then I had her say something. She said, hello, this is Mrs. Mamie Brown. When I raised my boys to be good boys. And when they got out of hand, I beat their behinds. Please vote for my son. He's a good boy. John Glenn called me, Senator John Glenn. He said, man, you call your mama on this dude, you gonna win this. And I did. I got 26,000 votes to his 3,000 votes because people say when they went in there to vote, say, I'm voting for Les Brown because his mama say he's a good boy. So being able to tell your story now, to be so good at it that you can't be ignored, to attract more customers, to get referrals, to create the kind of experience that people trust you, that people believe in you, that people feel a connection with you. Because no matter what you're doing and who you're talking to, when you go out in your community and speak to people, they're asking 3 questions. Who are you? What do you have? And why should I care? And so when you know how to tell your story, oh, the possibilities of what you can do and the impact that you can make and the reputation that you develop where people are seek you out and the word goes out. It's major. It's major. So I'd like to leave this with you, but I'm open for questions. If you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and sleep for it, if all that you dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, and if you gladly sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, and if you simply go after that thing that you want with all of your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope, and confidence, and stern pertinacity, if neither cold poverty, famish, or gold, sickness or pain of body and brain can keep you away from the thing that you want, if dogged and grim you besiege and beset it, with the help of God, you'll get it. Here it is. Stop knocking on an open door. You have the power. You, your voice, you, your experiences, you, your knowledge, you, the things that you have gone through. Some things happen to you and some things happen for you. You're a gold mine. Coming out of this place where we are will be millionaires, billionaires, and witnesses. And those of you that listen to me, you're going to be a millionaire or a billionaire, but you won't be a witness. You won't just be standing around saying, I wonder what happened. No. Watch as well as pray. I like what Mary McLeod Bethune says. She said, pray as if everything depends upon God, but work as if everything depends upon you. If you're ready to, just if you believe that there's more in you, if you knew how to get it out, you'd have gotten it out. Come on, let's be real. Why'd you hire Mike Williams? Because I'd gone as far as I could go with the thinking and the approach that I had used. That's why Einstein said the thinking that has brought me this far has created some problems that this thinking can't solve. And most people won't give it up. They won't say, you know what? I don't know everything. Well, the majority of people think they know everything, that everything they know right now is all that they will know. The majority of people buy a book and don't read past the first chapter. Let me tell you something. February 17th, I still read. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I got children. I got grandchildren. And I have 5 great-grandsons, one called King 7. Hell yeah, Valentino, he was born February the 7th, just a couple of days ago. He's a bad little dude. He's coming for you. Oh, yes, he smiles at his daddy, Patrick. He's coming for you. He just looks so lovingly at his daddy. I can't wait to hold him. I can't hold him now. I can just look at him on Zoom. This is not right. This is just too much. I can't hold my great-grandson, because I don't want to put his life in danger, or his mother's, my granddaughter, or my son. This is different. This is so different. That's why we need to have things for our mind, have strategies for our mind. I'm encouraging you to go online and Google Les Brown speaking in the Georgia Dome and watch that speech on a regular basis. And Les Brown speaking, It's Possible. And Les Brown and Miles Monroe, watch those and listen to those on a regular basis and getting unstuck. Stuff power for your mind. And for those of you that want to use the computer to bring your personality out, because you have the opportunity now. It's a level playing field. Everybody's got to do it from here. Everybody, you can order food. You don't have to leave your house. You can just pick up a phone. Instacart, I think they call that thing. They'll deliver it to your door. You just wait until they leave. And then you get your Lysol to go out and spray it and drag it in the house. This is a different place. Now, some people don't go. They don't care. They go out. I ain't going nowhere. No, not at all. No. I'm fine right here. Oh boy. If you're ready to be coached, if you are ready to be stretched by me, if you want to be a world-class entrepreneur and business person, this is the new platform. Everybody's got to operate from here. Everybody. You want to invest in yourself. That's what I did. You want to develop your personality so you can get through there. It's not enough just to share information. You put me up against anybody. They can have PhD, MBA, or CB. CB stands for cornbread. That's me. You give them a computer, give me what? And let us go head to head. I'll get the butter from the duck. It's a level playing field. This is a golden age right now. Incredible opportunity for people who invest in themselves and get the coaching they need to bring out their personality, their passion, their energy, and how to monetize their knowledge and their skills. When a team have a losing season, they don't fire the players. You know what they do? They get a winning coach. They get a coach who wins. That's what they get. You want to be the best, you want to be coached by the best. I don't say this to impress you, but to impress upon you. Coaching matters. It matters. And so when you are serious and want a competitive edge and you want to win, I'm looking for people who are hungry to win. That's how I got here. I was hungry to win. I didn't care about your PhD or MBA. I was hungry to win, to control my own personal economy, to control my life, to take care of my mother, to buy my mother a home. I was hungry to do something that's me. It's me. I got tired of being fired. I'm not mentally fit to work for somebody for the rest of my life. There's some people that are. I remember a guy that I hired as my consultant. I'll never forget when I went to the city where I went to see him and spent a whole day with him, and he looked at me with amazement. And his wife said, when I left that day, he stopped me at the door and he said, "Thank you for turning to me as a consultant to train you how to speak and address corporations." He said, "But you know something, Les?" I said, "No, I wouldn't hire you." I said, "Why? I have an MBA. You think if it were in fact possible to speak to corporations around the world, I got an MBA, you think I would be working on this job where I'm working 65 to 70 hours a week? You think I don't have anything else to do with my time?" He said, "I'm just telling you, I got the check. I'm just telling you, you're wasting your time. They're not going to hire you." I said, "Thank you." He said, "You ought to give this up, man, and try and find a job in another city as a disc jockey." I said, "Man, that's behind me. I'm not looking back. I want to do something different with my life." And Mike Williams is with me. And his wife said, the two of them went to the window, looking out the window as I was getting in my car. And she asked him, "Do you think he's going to listen to you and give up this crazy idea of speaking to corporations and speaking around the world, even though he doesn't have an MBA like you, or any college at all, or any corporate experience?" And he said, to his credit, he said, "No." And she was stunned. She said, "Why? I thought you were very convincing. Why? He believes in you and what you say." And he said, he doesn't know enough to know that he can't do it. And so he's going to go forward. He's going for it anyhow. See, sometimes you've got to be intelligently ignorant. You don't know what you can't do. According to the laws of aerodynamics, a bumblebee isn't supposed to fly because its large body cannot be held up by its little puny wings. But the bumblebee doesn't know it. Sometimes you've got to be intelligently ignorant. Lean not unto thine own understanding. There's some things that does not fit within the realm of logic and reasoning and being practical. That's why we're taught to judge not according to appearances. You got greatness in you. Don't you judge yourself based upon your failures, based upon your past, based upon the stuff you've gone through. No! Greater is he that's in you than he that's in the world. No! You were born to do good stuff. No! You are more than a conqueror. And if life knocks you down, try and land on your back, because you can look up, you can get up. If you're ready to get back up and control your own economy, if you're ready to get back up and control your own life and be your own boss, and let me show you how to do that. I can hook you up. Oh, he's on fire. Oh, behave. Whatever. Better must come. As Althea Grant said. I want you to say that to yourself. You going through some stuff right now? I want you to say, better must come, in a voice of defiance. She was under her aunt's bed and her aunt treated her like dirt. Her mother dropped her off and then let her know, I'm leaving the country, and left her with an aunt that treated her like nothing. And she heard a song called Better Must Come, and that was the mantra that kept her from losing her mind. Sometimes we need something that we can hold on to, something in spite of our situation, something in spite of the abuse, something in spite of the cruelty, something in spite of the hopeless situation that we find ourselves in, that we can hang on to and say, better must come. Better must come.